Let me tell you about a girl we'll call Libby. I knew her as a child. At the time, she was 5, and her mom got a huge job promotion that meant she had to move to another country. And so Libby's parents decided that mom would move to the other country and dad would take on the primary parenting role for Libby and her siblings. And mom would try to come back about every 2 months. And for the next 6 years, this is how the family operated. She tried to visit her as often as possible, but now mom actually had become so busy that it often didn't work out well. So Libby probably saw her mom every, I'd say maybe 6 times a year. And on top of this, her father, who's now the full-time parent of Libby and her 3 siblings, had become so overwhelmed that he expressed to me that he often felt like he was just barely surviving. Well, by the time Libby was 6, both of her parents noticed a shift. Dad noticed this at first, but mom noticed this shift in the phone calls and FaceTime calls that she would make with Libby. Libby used to be really excited to talk to her, especially after school. And now her tone had become a bit indifferent. Her answers were short. Mom would ask, "How was your day?" Libby would say, "Fine." And then she would leave. She would run off. She wasn't really being rude. She just was distant. I know this is a dramatic example. I'm using it to make a point. Orientation away from parents and towards peers can begin as early as 6. It really starts to intensify at the pre-adolescent age. So that's around ages 9 to 13, but it can start as early as 6. There's a book by Drs. Gordon Neufeld and Gabor Mate that outlined this principle of peer orientation. And I talked about this in my last episode on attachment. Go read that book. It's highly recommended. But peer orientation means that instead of staying connected to their parents, kids form their primary attachments with other kids. It means caring more about a friend's opinion than your opinion. It means being emotionally open with peers but guarded with family, or showing frustration or indifference towards the home life. So I want you to remember, peer interaction is different than peer orientation. Peer interaction is normal, it's needed, it's wanted. It's necessary and it's healthy. Peer orientation becomes a problem when kids begin to rely more on their peers than on their parents for emotional support, guidance, and identity formation. So this shift will undermine the parent-child bond or connection, and it can lead to a whole host of behavioral and emotional problems. And so this is exactly what was happening with Libby. Her mom was physically absent, and her dad, who was in survival mode, he was physically present, but emotionally totally checked out. In today's world, with all of the stressors that we have as parents, we can all get overwhelmed and checked out at times. The risk of early peer orientation will go up when parents become checked out or physically unavailable, or when kids are separated too early from them for long periods, like excessive daycare, or when parents are really overly stressed out or just emotionally disconnected. It can come from cultural messages that push early independence. This is the time when a lot of parents accidentally lose their kids, not to rebellion, not to screen time, but to disconnection. So they'll stop coming to us first. They stop turning to us when something feels off. If we don't catch it, that connection will begin to fade. So let's talk about what your child needs from you during this window of ages 6, 7, and 8, but actually all the way up through 12. These crucial years when our kids are stepping into the world, but they're still deeply dependent on your presence and your leadership. So first, I want you to understand the shift. Something changes around age 6. Your child starts school, and they just become more socially aware. They start to notice the opinions of others, and they start to care about those opinions. This is normal. This is developmentally normal. But we don't want to step back and assume that kids don't need us in the same way that they used to, because they do. Before they were 6, your presence was mostly physical, feeding them, holding them, soothing them. As they get older, it becomes more relational and emotional. They don't need you hovering over them, but they do need to feel tethered to you. Attachment at this age is built on emotional availability. Your child needs to feel that you're with them, even when you're apart. When we're emotionally present, when we show up in a way that's warm and engaged, they will look for it elsewhere. They'll look for it with their peers. And I want to emphasize that the power of showing up is not just a metaphor, it is literal. Kids don't just want you to be around, they want to feel that you see them. This is what attachment looks like at this age, feeling seen. So that means you notice when they walk into the room, you notice when they're quiet or when they're off, maybe when they light up about something. They want to know that you're still paying attention, even if they pretend that they don't care, but they do care. And when kids feel seen, it's like having an anchor. They will have no need to chase validation from others because they already feel significant and important to you. They already feel known by you. So they're satisfied and they're fulfilled in this sense. But when they feel invisible at home, they will do whatever it takes to be visible somewhere else. Dr. Daniel Siegel and Dr. Tina Payne Bryson wrote a book called The Power of Showing Up, and they talk about this extensively. Again, this is a highly recommended book. What they do is they emphasize the idea that children need to feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure. That's the 4 S's. Feeling seen is more than just being physically present. It means you are emotionally present and you are attuned to them. And here's a trap that most well-meaning parents will fall into. They will focus more on behavior than on connection. We start to correct before we connect. We get frustrated when they don't listen. We ask, why is my kid being disrespectful? When the better question is, how strong is our connection right now? Always, always, always address behavior issues by first asking yourself this question: how strong is our connection right now? Because the behavior problem might actually be because the connection is in trouble. Connection draws our kids to us. It makes them want to listen to us. Now, look, I'm not naive enough to believe that connection is the entire answer to all of our parenting problems. I've raised 4 kids. I know what it's like to deal with defiance and behavior issues. But generally speaking, when children are deeply attached to us, they want to cooperate. They want to please us. Discipline becomes easier. Boundaries and structure is easier. Communication becomes easier. But when the bond weakens, everything gets harder. Okay, now let's talk about how you can actually keep the connection strong during these years. And I'm going to give you 5 strategies. Number 1, connect before you correct. Before you give instructions or feedback, collect their attention first. That means eye contact, a warm tone, maybe a touch on the shoulder. This is just telling your child, I see you, I'm with you. But then and only then will you give direction. Number 2, build shared rituals. Kids this age thrive on routine. But what they remember is ritual, something that's just yours, something special and consistent that they can count on. It could be a bedtime ritual, like reading together. It could be a Saturday morning walk. It could be a Friday night movie. It could be a secret handshake. It doesn't matter. Number 3, stay emotionally available. Don't assume your kids will come to you either. Go to them. Ask about their day. Offer presents when they're upset. Sit beside them in the quiet. It's okay sometimes to just have quiet. Sometimes we just have to suffer with them in their silence. Your presence is what matters. And this is how trust is built, not through big moments, but small, consistent moments. Number 4, be real. Don't try to be impressive. You don't have to have all the answers or say all the perfect things. What your child needs most is you, like the real you. It's okay for them to see you be appropriately vulnerable. Tell them about you. I can't tell you how many kids I've spoken with over the years that have told me they wish they knew their parents better. That might be hard for you to believe, but even the most defiant, disconnected kids from their parents have told me they wish they knew their parents better. They wish they knew what their parents' life was like when they were younger. So let them see you, letting them know that they matter to you in a very special way. So literally say this to them. Kids this age crave affirmation, not for what they do, but for who they are. So you can tell them, I just love being around you. This kind of affirmation builds emotional security. And when kids feel significant at home, they don't have to go looking for that sense of worth from their peers or approval elsewhere. Now let's talk for a minute about what to do if you're already feeling disconnected from your child. I promise you it is not too late. I knew an alcoholic father once who had been the biggest flake to his kids for years. They came to rely on the fact that they could never rely on him. But when I met him, He started getting help. He started really working on changing. He hadn't actually changed completely, but he was working on changing. And I'm telling you, his relationships with his kids changed in a matter of months. It is never too late. Remember also, don't chase too hard. It's kind of like dating. If you chase too hard, it becomes a turnoff. So instead, move towards your kids in small, steady ways. Start with proximity, be in the same room. Then you can move to presence, like be emotionally available. Just your consistent physical presence and emotional availability will create connection with them. And don't get discouraged because sometimes this can take a while. If you feel disconnected, just do these things and be consistent. That's the best thing you can do, is be consistent. And if they resist, stay consistent. Just be steady. Even the most avoidant child wants attachment. Sometimes they're just afraid to want it. In conclusion, I want to emphasize that you are still the answer. In these years between 6 and 8 and beyond, your child is becoming more independent, more social, and more curious about the world. But they still need to know who they belong to. They still need to know who sees them, who delights in them, who is steady no matter what. You don't have to compete with their friends. You don't have to compete with screens. You just have to stay close enough that they remember that you are their home. You are their safe place. Stay their safe place, and you will stay their anchor. And even when the world gets louder, even when they start to pull away, even when they act like they don't need you, I promise you they do. I hope this episode changes how you think about your relationship with your child. If you found this to be helpful, then hit the like button and subscribe for more parenting strategies that focus on connection. Please share this with any parent who you think might benefit from this, and let me know in the comments what resonated the most. I read every comment. All right, I'll see you next time.